March 3rd, 2007 was the worst day I could have ever imagined. This is the day when I was picked up by police and taken for evaluation in a psych ward. I was so sure I was not mentally ill. How could I be? I'd studied biochemistry at the University of Southern California. I played the violin at an advanced level. I was an ordinary person. How could I have schizophrenia? When my doctor told me I had schizophrenia, it was embarrassing and insulting, and I didn't believe it was true. That was a terrible day. But when I look at all the days of my life, this is the day that I am the most grateful for. Because of that terrible day, I would begin treatment. I would reclaim my life, and I would move on from the churchyard where I was living as a dirty homeless person. I had a happy, normal childhood and a great relationship with my parents. My dream school was the University of Southern California. I went there in 1999 on scholarship to study biochemistry and molecular biology. I was an A student at first, but over 3 years there was a steady decline in my ability to focus, and schizophrenia struck like a thief my 4th year of college, robbing me of my ability to study. Suddenly my best efforts produced failing grades, and my heart was like ice. I wanted nothing to do with my loving family or friends. A few months later, I abruptly moved out of the dormitory, rejecting all help. My parents were frantic. They contacted my church, my friends, my professors. I was paranoid with irrational fear, and I was having delusions, which are fixed false beliefs. I really believed I would be the next prophet to appear in 2,000 years since the time of Christ. I had traveled to China and Africa, and I really believed that someday I would send hundreds of millions of dollars of aid to the developing world. I was worried that my friends and family would stop me from making this contribution. You look back and you think, when does normal become abnormal? When does a commitment become an obsession? For 3 years, I hid. I hid in libraries and lounges. Eventually, I spent every night on the floor of a public bathroom. My 4th year homeless, I started living outside in a churchyard. And this is when the hallucinations began. There was a chorus of voices inside my mind, insulting me, commenting on my every action. One day I looked in the mirror at my reflection, but it was morphed to look like the character Lisa from the show The Simpsons. One day, newspaper reporters came from the LA Times to do a story about my life and my descent into homelessness, and I looked for the article. But there was no article. I had lost touch of what was imagined and what was real. And as the days went by living outside, I waited. I really believed that one day a helicopter would come, land near the churchyard where I was sleeping, and take me to my new life as the next Mother Teresa and as a prophet. And as I waited for months for that helicopter, my hygiene plummeted. I had become a dirty, homeless stranger. And you would think that this dirty stranger I had become, wandering around the university area looking for garbage to eat, you would think she would never make a contribution, or perhaps not even move on. And when I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, I was told I was permanently and totally disabled. But that was not the end. I spent 12 months trying 5 different medications, and yes, it did really feel hopeless. But finally, I began seeing a new doctor. His name was Henry Nasrallah. Dr. Nasrallah was the first doctor I met who was willing to fight for my life. Dr. Nasrallah prescribed an infrequently used medication called clozapine. After 3 months on clozapine, my hallucinations had virtually disappeared, and after 1 year, my parents, Dr. Nasrallah, and I were talking about my transfer to the University of Cincinnati. And in 2011, I graduated from UC with my molecular biology bachelor's degree. It really felt like a miracle, and it gave me renewed confidence. In 2014, I published my memoir, Mind Estranged, My Journey from Schizophrenia and Homelessness to Recovery. And in 2016, Dr. Nasrallah and I joined forces to establish the Cures Foundation, comprehensive understanding via research and education into schizophrenia. Cures provides education about cutting-edge and underutilized medications such as clozapine, which has kept me in full remission for 11 years with no relapse. We offer hope. We highlight stories of what we call schizophrenia survivors. These are people who are thriving, not just stabilized, but thriving despite a schizophrenia diagnosis. And we encourage doctors to be more proactive, to fight for the highest level of recovery possible for their patients, just the way that Dr. Nasrallah fought for my life. We have seen so many stories of recovery, especially on clozapine. Schizophrenia is one of the most misunderstood diseases on earth. It is a physical brain disease like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and stroke, but more treatable. It is, in fact, a physical disease like arthritis, diabetes, and cancer. It affects 1 in 100 of us. There is no shame in taking a medication for any illness. I have some limitations. I don't drive and I can't work full time. And yes, my schizophrenia is a life condition. But I do not see my schizophrenia as a life sentence. Through the work of the Cures Foundation, I hope to see many more success stories like mine. Thank you.